Good morning. Welcome, Doodle Crew friends. We're back. I'm very excited to have everyone back. I'm excited to have my fellow artists here. We're bringing back a prompt that we have done a few times now, but one that is always fun, and a little twist on it today. So today we are doing another Hues Who color challenge. This time, though, we are getting colors randomly generated from Coolors. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. I think it's just colors, but I like saying Coolors. .co. So I will warn you now. Disclaimer at the top of this. It's very addictive. It's really fun to go in and click through the different color palettes, and you can get lost very easily. So I had to stop myself once I got this palette, but I definitely recommend if you're looking for some fun color inspiration, it is a wonderful place to go and just noodle around with some colors. I think I need to utilize it more because color is something that I personally struggle with. So, yeah, but I'm excited. So I'm going to go around, do that thing where we introduce ourselves and everybody say hello. So to you, Mayor Squish, good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Nicole. You can also find me everywhere at Mayor Squish or Mayor Squish Art. And I rolled this lovely palette, which is not something I would usually go for. So I'm really excited to kind of try and manage.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. We were talking a little bit earlier. Spoilers, we talked before the show. But stop it. Not you, the cat. But I'm very excited for that pop of pink. Like, I think that's a very fun where you have kind of a very calm palette with that one highlight color. Like, that leaves a lot of fun. So, yeah. All right. So, I need you off the thing because you bit me again. So, all right. I go to use the mouse and she bites me. So, all right. Also, hi. Hello, Geoff. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So,
I'm Geoff.
Where can people find you?
I'm Geoff. You can find. I'm dipping my toes back into Twitter. I'm not doom scrolling on it, but I will go in and look at a few posts and post my own work and stuff like that. So, I'm kind of doing that a little bit, so I can be found at GMUNNY on Twitter. And then I believe I'm Geoff Munn pretty much everywhere else, like on Instagram, which again I only post a few times on that because that's turned into a TikTok clone. And I'm on Facebook because I'm old. And I have a Patreon page, which I've also started to revamp. That's patreon.com/pocketscience. And I'm starting to post new comics again. So I'm very excited to be working in comics again.
Yeah. I saw a new parenting went up. I was very excited about that. It's super fun. Also, fun random. This art world is very small. I had a Comic-Con this past weekend, and the lovely people that I sat next to knew Mr. Geoff Munn and sang his praises. So know.
Who?
It was someone I'd never met. It was a brand new friend. So, yeah. Sure. See if I can find. Yes, but it was exciting. I was like, new friends. So, but it's fun. I think the East Coast art family is smaller than we think.
It is.
Which is kind of fun. I like it though. Yeah. All right. So, oh no, I lost my thing. There we go. I'm a mess this morning. But hi, I'm Swan. You can find me all across the internet at a swan named Emily. Yeah, I am also in the current throes of revamping things and getting things ready, but I don't have a ton to show for it just yet. But on a very exciting note, I have a whole bunch of Comic-Cons coming up in the next few months. So if you'd like to see me in person, you can reach out to me and find out where I'll be, and I'll also be posting that. But most exciting coming up is I will be at Dragon Con in a couple of weeks. So I'm also trying to get all my art ready for there. If you want to see more of Doodle Crew, you can follow us across the internet at Doodle Crew Draw. We're Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on that. Would it be great if we had a TikTok? I'm sure, because it'd be really cool. I had a friend who put something together. He's like, look what you could do. I'm like, that looks amazing. It also looks like a lot of work, and I will probably not be doing it. But I appreciate you telling me of this cool thing that I could do. But hopefully, I have some change up coming up for me in my art requirements and requirements on my time that is changing up. So I might have a little more time to do that. So maybe. But yeah. And as always, if you have prompts you want to see us do, hit us up. And I know Nicole already dropped it in the chat, but I'm going to drop it in there again. This is the website that we are using if you want to play along with us at home. So, I've also done no warm up this morning, so we're going in cold. Also, there's something happening under my desk, so hang on. Okay, let's try this again. I was set, and then everything fell apart. So now we're trying to do it again. Okay. So my initial question to you two is color something that you feel very comfortable working in? Is it something you struggle with? Something you like or dislike?
I'm not a big fan. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm learning how to do it. Mostly, it's mostly been a struggle because I'm partially colorblind. So like, I've had to kind of teach my eye to learn colors properly. So it's something that I feel that I'm just now starting to get the grasp upon, because before it was just like, I'm just going to throw these colors together and do it this way. But I feel like I am getting better at it. So that's good. But it is something that I have to force myself to do, because if I can leave something black and white, I will do that.
Yeah, there was talk recently with some art that I was making where someone made a suggestion like, oh, we could turn this into a coloring book, and my immediate part of my brain was like, leave it in black and white? Yes, I could do that. So I feel you.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I feel like I'm okay at it. I've picked up some things from TikTok though about like, and I think this only applies to like traditional art, but if you like pick a palette and you're not sure if it goes together, you can just mix in like a drop or two of the same color in all the colors, and then it will just kind of like unify it.
That's smart.
Yeah, oh, that's very cool. Yeah, for for all of the time wasting and non-educational stuff I find on on TikTok, I mean both, but the art education side of things and like people sharing their art tips is incredible. I actually really like that community and the people who post on there, which is nice. It's also something weird, I think, at least for me. You know, it's one where I am completely aware that part of the keys to success for this are practicing colors and doing that. And I know that logically, but there's something about working in colors. I don't know if it's just because I find it so daunting or what, but I find it's a lot harder for me to just sit down and practice it, as opposed to I'm like, oh, I don't know how to draw this type of vehicle. It means I have to draw it 30 times. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I'll just keep drawing it. So I don't know why there's a difference and a disconnect when it comes to color. So, is Soapbox Glad still hanging out? I was curious how that works with like mini paintings and stuff like that. If it's because the stuff already has a specific color set, or what's it like to pick colors and kind of work in that? Yeah. So, how is it picking colors to paint minis? Is that something where you're confident in, or because I was like, you could go for default where like, okay, armor is always going to be silver, but some of the coolest stuff I see is when people don't do, we'll say, the standard colors.
So yeah, no. So I with the ones that I have, so the Space Marines chapter I've made my own. So it's black and orange. Like I mean, everything else in my office and the branding of my company. So those are kind of like just my go-to. So I did that, and then when I used to play Warhammer Fantasy Battle, I was Dark Elves, and those are purples and silvers and golds. So stuff like that is like kind of standard. That's kind of stuff that I just kind of look at other people's for inspiration. But there's this cool app that I had for when I was designing my Space Marine stuff. I think I still have it on my phone. It is here. Yeah, it's called ImpCat, and it's you could download people's models. Like somebody had taken the time to build a model of like a standard Primaris Space Marine and scan it in and then separate each piece so you can color it individually. So I played with that thing for hours to try and like get cool color schemes and stuff. So that's a fun way to do that as well. Because I don't want to just pick I don't like to just pick like, oh, I'm going to be this already made up Space Marine chapter. I'd rather do like the options out there are, endless. So I'd rather have something that like is unique to myself. So that's kind of how I did that. But I mean, I can, at this point in time, I can tell what goes and what doesn't, but I'll still like fumble through some of the stuff, especially when it's like a special weapon or something that like is supposed to glow certain colors, or there's a whole bunch of like little minor details that aren't standard on everything. You kind of have to pick and choose what you're going to color it, but still try and keep it uniform for the rest of the model. So, I mean, it has its own challenges, but for some reason, I feel like that's easier for me. I don't know why.
No, I love hearing that because I run into some of the same things where it's, it comes to sketching this person in this particular pose or like doing these things. I was like, no, this is something that just comes easy to me. And other people are like, I can never figure out like how to pose them or do something. But again, you talked to me about like setting up a really interesting background or a really interesting setting. That's something where I still kind of have to work through it and look at other people's stuff and figure out the world I want to build, where, I watch people who just build scenery and it makes sense and all of the pieces fit together like they're supposed to, even if it's fantasy and made up. Like, that's really cool, and that's something that I still have to work on. So I think it's funny that even within the same realm, there's stuff that absolutely clicks and stuff that makes no gosh darn sense.
Yep.
Ooh, okay, so Soapbox Class is talking about the NMM and OSL. Fancy lingo. Feels so hip and cool. Yeah, some of the non-metallic metal stuff that I've seen is just so cool. I've got a buddy who's working on a Hellscape build right now, and he's doing a ton of cool stuff with like rust and wrought iron, and then all of the like the coloring from the sulfur and the magma and all of that, and it's leading to some really cool stuff. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, you've literally been sending me shots of the whole process, and I understand it, but at the same time I'm like, it's just sorcery. I don't know how you're doing that, which is exciting.
Yeah, anybody that does like on model lighting is crazy. Because like you have to still like do the model the right colors and everything, and then you go ahead and you kind of go over top of that with whatever colors the lighting's making. But everybody's always so good at it when you see it done right.
Okay, so then along those lines, what do you find more difficult? Like highly organic, something like moss or greenery, or hyper, like, we'll say space with your space marines, like the mechanical and non-organic. There we go. Words are hard today.
Yeah, I think they both have like their advantages and both have like difficulties. I love basing, so like I guess organic stuff would be more where I like to do things, just because it's like with organic stuff and with like if you're basically you're designing like this small piece of terrain right on this underneath that's going to go underneath this model. Like it's just kind of fun because there are no real rules because organics like especially grass or stuff like that kind of just grows where it wants to grow and stuff like that. So like you can just build these little it's basically you're building a 32 millimeter round piece of terrain. Yeah. And then you just put a model on top of it. So that's kind of fun. And then the fun part about like the mechanic stuff is like you can go in and like I haven't done this for a long time. I haven't painted for a long time, but I have a land speeder that I did and I painted it all up because it was just gonna be black with a little bit of orange on it. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna beat this thing up so you can weather it, like you can take the time to weather it, and then that's a lot of fun to do too. So you just take it, dry brushing is probably one of the most fun parts that I do. Is like you get your brush wet with paint, and then you basically take almost all the paint off of it, like you just kind of brush it on some paper towel until it's basically almost all off, and then you just take it and you lightly go across your model, and a little bit comes off, so it kind of makes this nice little brush strokes that look like it's been weathered. Like a land speeder, obviously the front end would get beat up more than anything else, so you've got weathering the streaks back and stuff like that. That's the kind of fun stuff that I like to do. Dry brushing is where it's at for me.
That's very cool. Okay, so Soapbox Scott says, one of my favorite projects I've seen is a guy who did a custom homebrew chapter of Marines in the Wakanda style. Did a lot of kit bashing as well. Absolutely gorgeous and creative. I feel like anything Wakanda inspired, oh my gosh, I'm just going to stop talking. Wakanda inspired is so cool because you have all of these sleek, very futuristic designs, but then you get these great, like, bright bursts of like purple and bright blue or gold going through it, and that's so cool. All of the design for the Black Panther movies and everything was just so freaking cool. I love it.
Afrofuturism.
Yes, thank you. I'm gonna let you talk now for a while because none of my words work.
One of our students at my one teaching job she's huge into Afrofuturism. So like that's all like nonstop talk about it. So that's not the only reason I know that. That's the term.
Well, and it's one of those where I will always go for, this is a tangent off of what we were talking about, but always pick up any of like the art of the animated movies books because I love those. I love concept sketches. I love all of the pre-production stuff. Sometimes more than the final stuff. I'm like, just show me all of your sketches.
Yeah.
But out of all of the Marvel movies, like the one design book I would love to own is all about Black Panther because I was like, this one felt I was the most drawn to the creative design side of those movies. Like, that was what was exciting for me. Okay, so I will have you give more information on that. Soapbox Cloud says there's a Twitch streamer who kit bashed an entire Sisters of Battle army as punk rockers, which sounds amazing. What are the Sisters of Battle? For those of us who are not in the know. That was such a great water glass splash. Splursh. It wasn't a splash, it was a splursh. Sisters of Battle are a zealot holy order of the warrior women who worship the Emperor of Mankind as a god and work directly as the military arm of the, oh boy, Ecclesiarchy? Ecclesiarchy, there it is. Thank you. I'm like, oh no. Oh
big
no.
words. Big words Saturday morning. Sunday.
Come on. Also, who was not paying attention to the written stuff in church and who was just drawing in her sketchpad? It was me.
Sketchpad. I was drawing on the flyer, the little pamphlets that they had every week. They should have put the pencils in the pews if they didn't want me to draw.
Exactly. No, I always give my mom a ton of credit because, there was a request that I was to attend church and I didn't want to go, but
right.
I was obedient. But her thing was, you can bring your sketchbook and you can draw as long as you can tell me what they talked about. And honestly, that was a part that worked because I can sit and I can sketch and I can absorb the audio of it. And like that works really well. But any of the reading, I'm like, I was not paying attention. And I like the singing. The singing was fun. But, all right. They're like female space marine, but not genetically.
I would say lady in layman's term, it's lady space marines.
Lady space marines. Oh, and they have organs in triplicate. I love things in triplicate. That's very cool. Also, Sisters of Battle just has a great, that's a good, it feels good. So funny story about that, Soapbox Klutz. So I was raised Methodist, so super chill, probably like the most easygoing of all of it, which was great. Very, very low bar of entry for me, which was good. I'm now completely fallen away, but nothing to do with my original church. They were lovely. But I was pretty familiar with the, they would say things and then you'd say, and also with you. Got it. Great. I'm good at this call and response stuff. I can do this. So not that many years ago, I think 2019, I went to my cousin's wedding and they had a church service for it. And all I could think of is the John Mulaney skit and stand-up that he does, because as we're going through it, there's a call and response part, and no, it's no longer and also with you, it's and with it, with your spirit. And my brain is like, what? You can't change it. It's been the same for how long? What are you doing? Yeah. So I had a crisis moment in the church that day. I was just like, what is happening? Yeah, the girl who was with me, she was just like, shh. shush. And I'm like, I can't shush. I can't handle this right now.
This is blasphemy.
Right? Yes, that's a great way to put it. Methodist is Catholic light. All the God, none of the guilt. No, very, very low amount of guilt, which is great. Like, I feel like sum it up is their whole thing is like, just don't be a dick. Like, God's cool. Don't be a shitbag. Here we go. Which, I can support, but. But it's also, anytime my dad would come along, we would make up our own lyrics to the hymnals that we were singing and really piss Mom off, which is fun. But my poor mother, she put up with so much bullshit. I was having fun. You're having fun for the wrong reasons.
The only thing I remember from church when I was a kid was, and I was raised Presbyterian, which is also pretty much nothing, except they want your money. The younger kids were doing some play. It must have been around Christmas time or something. Because they always did the Mary and Joseph going to Bethlehem little skit play. And at the end, people started clapping for them because obviously you clap for kids who just did a good job. And the organist stood up and she screamed at everybody that this is church. You don't clap in church. This is the house of God. And we all just kind of went. And then we never went back to church. It was pretty much the end of us going to church at that point in time. I was just like, wow, this is crazy that you just you're yelling at people in church for like celebrating the work of young kids.
Jeez.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like, again, what a strange hill to be like, this is the hill I die on. You're like, really? That's the one?
Okay. Lord Jesus does not want your clapping.
Yeah. Yeah, it's stuff like that where I'm like, what though? What? Yeah, my big final moment. Exactly, soapbox clots. How dare you celebrate in the eyes of God? Is we got a different minister who had a much more like fire and brimstone take on things and some really, really old school thoughts about.
He liked Old Testament God.
And he is standing up there doing his thing and said some really shitty stuff, and I was like, and I'm out. Nope, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done with this. This is crap, and you suck, and I don't want to be here. This is not where this piece originally started, but I'm kind of just going to go with it and see what we turn up. Oh, also, I'm sorry. This is my brain is just yep, it's fine. But I was thinking of, once I got to college and everything, I was already pretty fallen away, but then I got into Dungeons and Dragons, which as we all know means that I'm, very very fallen away. So, excuse me. Oh, okay, soapbox closet. That's really cool. Also, I love the gigantic fleur-de-lis right on the breastplate. Just one for each breast. Amazing. Changing topics very quickly again. Geoff, can people audit your classes?
I don't know. As in, sit in on? Is that? I never really understood what audit means.
I mean that whether I'm using it correctly or not, that is my understanding as well. Yes.
Just like random people, or like people from they have to be in the.
It would be
new to university stuff, so.
I haven't done anything with the university, and hey, my college doesn't exist anymore, so I'm not an expert on any of this.
Same.
Yay! But no, it was I had a friend who does a lot of rigging stuff, and I was talking to him about you and all the stuff you were doing. I was like, oh, this would be a really cool person for you to talk to. But I didn't want to just volunteer you to be like, here, teach your stuff, but don't get paid to this person that you don't know.
Yes.
But it was one of those, I was like, but if he could sit in on, the rundown as someone who has already been a working professional in the industry, just doesn't know this new tech. So that was my.
That's an excellent question. That would be something I'd have to bring up with the head of the department. I think. I'm not teaching that class this semester though. I don't know. I think I don't teach it again until spring semester. This semester I'm teaching a lot of super fundamental stuff because I have all freshmen this time. So I'm teaching the fundamentals of animation. So each class, we have 12 weeks of class, so we have 12 principles of animation. So that's what we do. Each week is a new principle.
Yes.
And then I'm teaching fundamentals of design for animation, which has always been taught by just a traditional art teacher and has never really had a connection to animation. So it's basically a free-for-all for me to design the class. So I'm thinking I'm going to teach them stuff for obviously we have to go over perspective drawing and stuff like that, but I'm going to kind of put it into a environmental design lesson so they can learn how to do backgrounds. Prop design too, so we can do perspective drawing on a small scale. character design. I'll be doing like, I think I could probably spend an entire week, like entire lesson, be like, this is how you draw hands. This is how you can draw
100%.
hands. Because everybody always is like, how do I draw hands? Or they hide how to do it.
Yep.
And it's like, I think my students are going to end up hating me because I'm going to be like, because I remember when I was at the Art Institute, I had a teacher for animal anatomy class. He was like, you need to fill up X amount of sketchbook pages every so many weeks and turn them in. And I'll go through your sketchbook to make sure that you're doing that. And like he meant fill up the page, like front and back, like not just like have like one thing on a page, but like fill the whole thing up with studies and stuff. And at the time I hated him, but looking back, I was like, yep, that's how I learned how to do things over and over and over again.
Yep. So
I've already sent them a shopping list of what they're going to need for class. And then I went to Five Below just because we got our kids' haircuts because they're starting school, and Five Below's right across the street. I'm like, I haven't been there for a while. I walk in, and right to the right is this entire art section now where they have like drawing boards, which is something that I told the students they had to have was a drawing board, just basically a giant clipboard, right, that has a handle on it.
Yeah.
They have them there for $5. And like everywhere else, oh no, and everywhere else they're like $16, $17. So I was like, I need to email all my students again and be like, if you can get to one, go to Five Below. You can get a sketch pad, you can get alcohol markers, you can get pencils, you can get almost everything on your shopping list there for $5 a piece, instead of ordering them from wherever, going to like Blick or Utrecht or whatever you
even
go to
Michael's
get your
or
stuff.
Hobby Lobby. I mean, even those, like even with a coupon, it's still expensive.
Yep. I'm like, I know you guys are freshmen, so I know you need money.
But also, like, and this is something where, you know, Nicole and I have talked about it before because, you know, we've talked about higher quality watercolors that cost a lot more. And there are times where once I had the budget to invest in nicer markers and nicer colored pencils, you know, switching from just using Rosart and Crayola colored pencils to actually starting to use Prismacolor, I was like, oh, I understand why these are more expensive, why these are nicer. But when you're just learning, it is so much nicer to just use that stuff and abuse those art supplies that are only $5. And if they don't last you 10 years, it's okay. Like, you're just learning.
Especially so that you can abuse them. Because I know for a fact I have Copics that are sitting over here that I have not opened yet because they're Copics.
Yep.
And I'm like, once I use these are expensive. Like I could go, but I went to, it's right here. I got these. Look at $5. They're alcohol markers. I haven't opened them yet because I just got them. There's 21 of them here.
That's insane.
I don't know how well they work, but if they're going to work to help me get one or two jobs at $5, like, are you kidding me?
I was going to say, I do one commission with them, and they've paid for themselves tenfold.
Right.
Like, yeah.
They've got black. They've got, you know, a couple different grays, which I already have. Like, I have, you know, those Copics over there they're all monotone. They're all the blacks and grays and whatever. But this has like a warm gray, a cool gray, a black. It's got all these different flesh colors. It's got a couple of reds. Like it's got basically a shade and a shadow, like a hue and a shadow for it, for everything. So it's like, I guess I'll grab these. And they're double tipped. So there must be there's a thick tip and a thin tip.
Which, again, is great, and it's great to learn how to manipulate those.
Great. There you go. That's all I needed. I just need to do some sketch cards.
Maybe I'm going to be making a trip to Five Below, is what I'm saying. But also, I feel like, at least for me, and as we talked about it, you know, I was like, we had to buy Prismacolors for college, and I understood, because when I took a marker rendering class, like, they wanted us to really get good at marker rendering, but I had never done marker rendering before that.
Yep.
So I was so stressed about this expensive art supply I was using that I feel like I wasn't able to fully like mess around with it. I'm like, I'm not going to grind this into the paper. I'm going to like do everything I can to preserve this chisel tip so I don't damage it too.
I got to make sure that each mark is perfect. and then you freeze up because you know that you can't make every mark perfect. So you're like,
Yeah.
And you know that you're in college and you don't know when the next time you're going to see that kind of money is to be able to buy more of that. And like when we were at the Art Institute, what was our choice? We could buy it from the student store, which was Jesus, and they didn't give us any kind of discount at the student store.
Which is so stupid.
And then, or you could if you were lucky enough to be able to live off campus, then maybe you could go to a store somewhere else. But if you were living, I mean, obviously we all lived off campus because it was.
There was no campus.
But, yeah, but I mean,
yes.
when I went to the one over on Penn Avenue, like I lived quote unquote on campus because I lived at Point Park.
Right.
So like, where was I supposed to go? Walk around downtown somewhere to try and find that super expensive art store that's in the middle of downtown?
Yeah, no, the school store was so expensive. And again, it was exactly like you said, like you'd be in a pinch and you needed markers or you needed a specific color and you're like, I have to buy it from you because I have no other way to get this for like a week until we make our weekly shopping trip out to Walmart or something.
Yeah.
With the one person who has a car. Yeah, Vineyard Warrior. Maybe we'll have to make a quick trip there and get some art supplies for your kid and get some art supplies for your lady. All right. That's really cool. Well, I appreciate the heads up. That's great.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh. This is everything I just told them to buy.
And I mean, I know like for the art studio that I teach at, obviously the kids are paying for a very specific art class, but it's nice too when there's a supply budget because it meant that for a few of my classes recently, I was able to get the kids all microns, which are they the ones that I prefer to ink with now? No, but they're a great learning one.
Yep.
Like they're right in that nice, like they're a decent price for a decent inking marker. And now I can get these and the kids can have their first like introduction to it without having to buy them themselves. And if they break, okay, I'll give you a backup because I was able to have a budget to buy some of these supplies. Like, that's really cool. It's almost like if you give the teachers funding, we can do great things.
What?
I know. I got real crazy there for a minute. Whoo! Yeah. Five Below, if you're listening, paid sponsorship. I'm here. Hit me up at Doodle Crew Draw. Ooh, yes. Also good call. Back to school is happening, so Walmart will be starting to knock down all of their school supply stuff, especially Sharpies. Yeah. I got a lot of my like dry erase board markers and stuff like that there. But like the big like 24 packs of Sharpies that have all the different colors, which is very fun. Also, I just want to say thank you again, Geoff. I love having the type of community and art friends who are willing to share like their perspective on the supplies that they've used. Like that networking is invaluable to me. I was having a conversation with a friend at Comic-Con this past weekend, and I was telling him about how much I liked the Ohuhu markers. And I was like, I got, 35 of them for like $26 on Amazon. Like, they're really nice. They're alcohol based. They've got the brush tip and the chisel tip, which is what I want. Like, They work well enough for me that I'm willing to, not stress about not having all the Prismacolor colors or all the Copic colors.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always willing to, especially if it's cheap. Like if it's a cheap alternative, like I'm always willing to try it out to see how it stands up. Because I mean, the expense of having real Copics is ridiculous.
It is.
Like $5 a marker.
If you're lucky, I think my local store was up to like $6 at one point.
See, I haven't gone lately, and I know prices for everything is insane. So I'm sure it's.
Also, just something sad that, again, should I have probably known this? Yes, but nobody ever told me. I didn't know that they were refillable. Was not that wasn't a thing I ever knew. So there's a couple of times where I rebought colors because I didn't know that was part of how you're supposed to do them. Like
I just found out that they're not only just refillable, but if you buy the cheaper ones and they dry up, just put isopropyl alcohol in them and it wets them again because the ink isn't gone. It's the alcohol that's dried up. So you can just put isopropyl alcohol in there and they come back to life. I'm like, are you kidding me?
College me is just screaming into the void. What was the one, Mayor Squish? You sent it to me. It was specifically for paint, but like if your paint's really thin, what is it? Cornstarch?
Yes, either cornstarch or marble powder. The thing with cornstarch is just that it's a food item, so like it could go bad.
Right.
And allegedly marble powder is fairly cheap as well. I don't know. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. But yeah, and that'll thicken and revitalize paint.
And it will make it more opaque. It's for acrylic paint.
Yeah. But I was like, again, that's really cool. I never knew that. Yeah, I think the one thing, what you were saying about the cheap alternative, Geoff, is, again, if I can find something that works just as well for my needs, I don't care what brand it is. If it works and I'm happy, then that's awesome. I think the only thing I've ever truly run into is when I work on the toned tan paper. All the markers pretty consistent, really nice, but when I was doing a lot of stuff that I wanted bright whites before I got the Posca marker pens, the only one that would really show up well were white Prismacolor pencils. Like the colored pencils, I tried all the other brands. They were very dull. Like they really wouldn't give you a bright white, but the Prismacolor would give you a really bright white. So I was like, okay, so I'll just buy 5 singular Prismacolor white pencils and call it a day.
Yeah.
That's the thing too, where like as much, I mean, just from a selfish point of view, I always really enjoy, the YouTubers and stuff who have the humongous, every Prismacolor marker color ever. I was like, no, for the spectacle of it, that's awesome. Like it visually, it's very cool. It always worries me that it then makes kids think that you have to have that.
That's what I have to have. Yep.
And I was like, you super don't. For the longest time, I just had the Prismacolor colors that I did commissions with. So I had a whole bunch of the full range of skin tones and then a few other bright colors, and that was about it.
Yep. That's why, like, when I bought the Copics that I just bought the grayscale ones because I'm like, I just do everything that way. Like, I'll just do like sketch cards and stuff in grayscale. Like, I'll have all my shades. That's all I need.
Yep.
I don't need the big giant box of them that cost $2,000. And the only reason I bought those is because I had, what was it, a $5 reward for Michaels, plus it was like 40% off a
I was gonna
single
say,
buy.
plus
I was like,
yep.
I think I got them for like, I think I got that thing for like $5. I was like, haha, that'll never happen again.
Yep. No, I would always wait. Anytime I needed a big marker purchase, I'd wait until they had that, that coupon and make sure I maybe had like one other thing. And I was like, okay, now they're affordable. Oh, that's interesting. So Simkin was talking about working on some Gundam models and saying he's paneling right now, and it has a container of isopropyl alcohol that he dips his Q-tips in order to fix mistakes, which is very cool. And says, I started out with Japanese Gundam alcohol markers, and I wish someone would have told me there are U.S. equivalents. Yeah, again, there's so much. I wish they would have told me. Oh, yeah. So Simpkins saying he didn't use his gunpla markers for the longest time because online said they were horrible and splotchy and wouldn't produce good results. So I just watched a YouTube art creator who was doing a comparison between Crayola and Rose Art and Crazy Art and all of the, the former ones that came out when we were younger and the current ones now. And it was funny because again, even though it was subtle, I was like, oh no, I remember people like talking down about Rose Art and everything. And just watching the side by side, it was like they produced as good a results as Crayola. Like there was maybe one or two colors that weren't quite as great, but it was so subtle, like you would never know. And just again, how funny that you're told that they're. I was like, no, I've used some cheap markers. Rose Art was not the worst.
Rose Art did used to suck though. I remember I got some. I don't know if it was the crayons or colored pencils. Something they were very, very waxy and like did not transfer well. I'm like, wow, these kind of suck. But I mean, again, things change. Companies do try to make their product better sometimes. So they could have gotten a lot better yeah, because it's been forever since I bought anything rose art, I think. But
Yeah. Also true. Sipkin says, I think a lot of those early advice were from people who didn't know what they were doing with them. Yep. I could absolutely see that. It's funny. I'm very excited by the limited color palette, and I'm really trying hard not to add in any extras. But at the same time, like I keep having to work that much harder. My brain was like, "Wait, how do I make this work? How do I make this work like I want it to?" I gotta think in it real hard. Just as we've determined, not my strong suit this morning.
I am cheating slightly.
Well, I think from what we've determined on other episodes, white and black totally fine to add in.
Yeah, I think white is the only thing I'm cheating with. I think because even my shadows that I'm doing right now is the darkest color. It's not quite black, but it's like dark gray.
Oh. Well, I'm also, it's something that I'm very guilty of where I will start my pieces and be really determined that I'm going to cell shade them because I love how that looks. And then I will chicken out and I will start either airbrushing them or blurring the edges because I don't like how I've done the lines and I'm not confident in it. So I'm trying really, really hard this time to keep to that because I want to just use the shades that I have.
Yeah.
So basically, this morning I woke up and I chose violence towards myself. Said, can I make this as hard on myself as possible? You bet I can. Okay. Was that thing falling, or all I heard was sound like paintbrushes crashing?
Oh, is that me?
Oh, you're probably just cleaning in the water thing.
Oh, hold on. I don't think I'm using the right microphone.
She has a microphone in her water container.
I was not
Oh, I'm
using the
using-
correct microphone.
Using the paint cleaner.
It was using my phone. Because that's the second camera.
Yeah, you sound very
Sorry.
nice. No, you're good.
No, I dropped some things. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, it was one of those where I was like, I know that sound. That's the sound of art supplies hitting the ground.
Yep. 2 pencils.
Yep. Nope. When I was working on a whole bunch of projects, I had moved out of the art room and I was working in the kitchen, which has a wood floor. And the amount of stuff I dropped is obscene. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you this way? Oh, really? She's coming in louder than the rest of us? Okay. That's interesting.
I'm sorry.
No, it sounds completely normal to me. So that's interesting. I can up mine a little bit. Or also part of mine is I need to go in and reset and mount my microphone different and my webcam different. I just haven't done it. So where it is, if I don't sit close to my tablet, I am not sitting close to my mic. So. But also, because I've got such little arms, I can't sit that far away from the tablet or I can't reach. It's fine. And if it's too close, I will bonk the mic with my stylus.
I thought you were going to say head for a second, and I was like, how?
That's where mine is. Mine is right here. Right.
I was going to say, head. I am... What am I? I'm this many... I'm from that finger to that finger away from my microphone right now. So if I put my head down, I could put my forehead on my microphone. Which I do sometimes when I'm really disappointed in myself. Geoff, did you read Bone when you were growing up?
Not when I was growing up, but I've read it.
Okay.
My 13-year-old has read Bone.
He
read it. I would say he read it in pieces, probably over between like 11 and 12. I think is when he read it.
Okay. What? So I know I'm going to come clean, and I understand if I get shade for this, but I've never read it. I've always wanted to. but just never actually committed to doing it. What age range would you say that it's good for? Are there littles that could read it, or would you say wait until they're a little bit bigger?
I think 9-10 is a good time. It's not. There's nothing. It's been a long time since I read it, but I don't think there's anything like overtly like terrible in any of it. Like there's. It's a fantasy story, so I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I read what I read. I read, or not read, but I saw stuff like Secret of Nim when I was super young, and that's got killing and
That's got a lot.
sick kids, and yeah, so like that gets pretty dark at times, and I'm okay. I think. I also saw Watership Down when I was young too, so I mean, you tell me.
It's not actually about bunnies.
That's what's wrong with the bunnies. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe Ian was 10. He was like, "What's this?" I was like, "You can read it." And he read like the first one, and then he had to find all the rest of them. And I think he finally owns them all. But I think we did like the library thing where we'd go to the library and get out a volume at a time. But then he'd like devour them real quick. So like, all right, let's get the rest of them then.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, he doesn't read anymore because 13. But
well, the hope with that is always that if there was once an enjoyment of reading, that it will come back. And
yeah. I'm sure if we had the access to the video games and the phones that they have, we would be the same way.
Absolutely.
And but like reading was the only thing I had back then. So.
When I found too, like, and it took me, like so many things, but I choose to say it out loud anyways. It took me a really long time to realize that a struggle I always had when I was reading is I would read these stories and I would have this great flash of inspiration in my brain. But if you want to go and draw the thing, you have to stop reading. And so often, like, it meant that I don't read as much as an adult because I'm like, as soon as I get inspired, I stop reading. And so it took me until adulthood to realize, like, oh, this is why audiobooks work so well for you, because you can listen to it. And then once you've got the specific idea, you can keep working on that idea while the book is still going. And it just, again, it was one of those where I'm like, I know it's a duh moment, but I was like, whoa.
No, it is one of those things you don't think about, though. Like, you just thought, like, actively thinking, well, an audiobook would allow me to do this. You're just like, oh, audiobooks are really much better for me. I wonder what.
Oh. Well, and I know, for years and years, it was always said that listening to audiobooks didn't get you the same level of reading comprehension as actually reading it, which they very much disproved now. They're like, no, if you can pay attention to an audiobook, it's all those different ways that people absorb information and that they learn. But, again, it was a different type of learning in a different media, so there was always the speculation that it wasn't as good.
Yeah, of course. It's not the way the old people did it, so it's wrong.
It must be wrong.
I had to do it this way. It's not fair.
Yeah, part of my question is Vineyard Warrior. His little, I want to start getting her into some comic stuff. of which I have a ton of, but I don't have a ton that are, I would say, kid specific.
Right.
So I've kind of been noodling around with, which ones I think she would enjoy and which ones are actually appropriate. Like I remember when my sister was really getting into, she really liked Teen Titans. And I remember seeing some of not any of the new, like Teen Titans Go and all of the new rebranding of Teen Titans, but like the old one, I was like, oh no, Nightwing and Starfire are definitely getting it on in this warehouse. I'm like, this is not kid friendly.
You can't read this. How old?
The Vineyard Warriors little.
Yeah.
She just turned 6.
I don't even know. I can't even get my 9-year-old to really read at all. He's not a big fan of it. He's good at it. He's like when he reads, he's good, but he doesn't really want to.
Yeah.
And then my 5-year-old, though, he's like gung ho about everything. Like he's starting to read stuff now, and he doesn't start kindergarten for a couple days, but he's like he's a math whiz basically.
Aww.
He's like he does multiplication at 5.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. He does it in his head. Like he can do addition in his head too. Like it's really weird. Like because he watched Number Blocks, which is pretty much just that, right? It's like how it's basically multiplication. It's like they teach them all about how these numbers combine and everything. And that's where he kind of picked it up from. But so we just figured, oh, he's just reciting that kind of stuff. But then we'll be in the store and he'll be like, so this is 11, or this is 7, and this is 4, so that's 11. Like he's just doing it like in his head, like off. And we're like, okay, so he does know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And like there are kids obviously that go into kindergarten and they're still learning, their ABCs and colors and stuff like that. And this kid's like, and it's nothing that we've even like actively really told him to do. We're not like, hey, you need to start doing like addition and stuff. What are you doing? It's just like, okay, this is what he knows. But I don't know if he would sit down and like read, if he could read completely, which he can read some words, but like not like a bunch.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he would like sit down and read anything other than children's books. I know that Mason, our 9-year-old, kind of hates comic stores, and I don't know why. Like I've tried taking him several times. Like it's like usually on free comic book day, and we hadn't gone for a couple years, obviously because of reasons.
Right.
And then so I was like, this year we're gonna go. So I took him and Ian, like 2 oldest, to there, thinking, well, he reads now. Like he reads Minecraft books, like fiction books that are about like stuff that made up stuff that's happening in Minecraft and stuff. He likes the Dogman books, which is comics.
Yeah.
He likes Diary of a Wimpy Kid. He's read all of those, and that's almost comics. It's like kind of a mix between chapter book and comic because there's pictures and everything. So he's into that kind of stuff, which I think I think maybe that's where the gateway is for younger kids, is like the Dave Pilkey stuff. Because I remember Ian read all the Captain Underpants books. He read all the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, which is why we have them. And that's kind of, I think that was his segue into actual comics. Like he likes comics and he'll check them out. He's not like actively looking for them because it's not on the Switch or the Xbox.
Right.
But he was excited to go to Free Comic Book Day, and he picked up a couple books while he was there. But I could not get Mason to buy anything. I was like, dude, I'll buy you a comic. I'll buy, like, you don't have to take any of these free ones if you don't like any of these free ones. Like, I'll buy you what you need. He's just like, no, I'm not. There's nothing.
Interesting.
I was like, man, you are hard to buy for.
Yeah, it's one of those where literally, like, Dogman is a perfect example, and I had thought of it at once and then immediately put it out of my head because that's just how my brain works now. But yeah, that's a nice, like, I see a lot of kids who that really resonates with. So that's a good one.
Yeah, it's as much as I'm not a huge fan of those, because I don't know why. It's just a mentality thing, I guess. Like, those aren't real comics, but I mean, they are. They really are. It's just, and I don't know if it's the art style or what. Like, it's a very juvenile art style, and that's probably what pulls kids in anyway. Like, hey, I could probably draw this stuff. But again, like, I don't really think of that as comics until like I do think about it. Like, I'm like, oh wait, yeah, no, this is comics, so this is probably a good segue for somebody to kind of get into it.
Well, and I think a big part of it is, the realization, because I had some students who really liked them and that's all they wanted to learn how to draw in camp. And I'm like, no, that's fine. We can break it down. But like, here's how you can use these techniques to draw their stuff, and like absolute revolt and wouldn't do it. They're like, no. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
This is stupid.
Yeah. So it was hard for me because it's not a style that would have grabbed me as a kid. And it's especially not a style that grabs me as an adult. So it was the first time where I was really like, oh, okay, I kind of have to shift my mentality of like all these things where I'm trying to get the kids to draw like wireframe and underbase and all of that. And they're like, no, I'm just going to do this hard outline because this is how it is. And I'm like, okay, like, it's fine, but also... all the old man sounds.
I'm having an aneurysm. That's a fucking doing. Oh, jeez. Yeah, and that's another one of those things that, like, because when I was a kid, my mom and dad would buy how to draw books, and those were always broken down into basic shapes, and then you build upon those shapes, and then of course you go to art school and they tell you the same thing. Build, make stick figures and build upon those, get your poses down, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, that kind of stuff does look like it was just like, I'm going to draw a triangle, that's the body, and I'm going to put a face on it, and I'm done. And here we go. And it's this very static, stupid pose, and doop-a-doop, next frame. Like...
You know what it is? You know where else I found that? Was comic strips. I think it's why I never attached to comic strip art as much as I did to comic book art. Because I'm like, it's just the same, like, here's 3 chunky squares that are rounded. That's the hair. And I'm just like, I mean, yes, I want it simple, but it's just the same. It's just for the same hair and everything.
You're trying the same thing over and over again. It's just 2 heads talking. What are you doing? That joke isn't even funny. How are you in the newspaper? I love comic strips though, so I can't think of this. Like, you get stuff because when you and I think my first connection besides Peanuts, because whenever I think of comic strips, like that was where my love of strips began, was with Peanuts. But then obviously everybody says this, but Calvin and Hobbes hit, and that changed everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Like not only did he change the game, like he changed. You could tell that his every panel, especially like when he did like the imagination panels where he was like super detailed on dinosaurs and jet planes and dinosaurs in jet planes, and like you're just like, this guy can draw. Plus, he changed how the comic strip was drawn anyway, because the newspaper was like, here are your rules, and he's like, no. This is how many panels I'm doing for my Sunday strip. Deal with it, make room for it. And they're like, okay. And like everything changed from that point, because a Sunday strip was always like, you get the throwaway gag at the beginning. You have two rows instead of one. And he's like, I'm going to do 3 rows. I'm doing 16 panels. The first panel is going to be huge, and this is going to look like this. Like, I really think that, Bill Watterson changed everything as far as comic strip goes, and everything's been for the better since. And obviously they changed again once webcomics came out, because now there's literally no limit to the size of the comic you want to make. It's infinite. And there have been comics that have been created that way, where it's like everything is on one page. Every update is just a new section of that first page, and it's just one big scrolling long page. I think that's awesome.
It's so cool, and I love it. I love the idea that there was a comic, that was made specifically for, what it was at the time, the Tumblr format, where you're scrolling up like this, like that's
Just
how
keep
they're going to
going.
make it, because it's how people are going to read it. And I'm like,
Here's the next part of the page.
well, I was having a humongous webcomic nostalgia bump when you were going through and doing all of your webcomic characters. And I'm just like, oh my God, the amount of time spent reading about all these characters. Yeah, you hit me right in the feels with that one.
Yeah, I had to stop because I was like, I could go on forever with you. Like, I only ended up doing 3, and I was just like, but then I could continue, and then I would just keep wanting to draw this stuff, and I was like, I need to work, and I need to do my own stuff. But like, I got it out of me, I guess, out of my system.
Yeah.
The 3 that I did, but. But I mean, the first 2, like Penny Arcade and PvP, have both been out for, over 20 years.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
It is insane. It's actually a little bit nuts to me. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Soapbox Clot said, sad that the PvP movie never came out. I'd forgotten about that.
Was that supposed to be the animated one that he was working with Blind Parrot on?
That's the one I was thinking of.
I know that they had like a series that they did with them, and I thought they were going to do a movie together, but I don't know what happened with any of that. I feel bad for Scott. Like his dad's like going through so much right now. And has been for a while. Like I want to say for the past 5 years or so, like his dad's had multiple strokes, and they've had to move him to Seattle to live with them. And he's made this very public, like on his Twitter and stuff, telling the stories about how like it's weird because he goes to visit his dad, but like he's not really his dad anymore. Like he's just not there. And it's really weird to kind of be like mourning someone who's still alive but not really alive anymore. So like he's I feel real bad for that dude because like he's and he he's had his time where it's like, oh, he's really kind of almost a toxic figure in the industry where he was making a lot of people angry, and he was and this was like obviously many years ago, but then he's kind of made amends with everybody and trying to do better.
Yeah.
So, and I've always admired his transparency with his fans and everybody. And some of the stuff he was saying wasn't wrong. It was just stuff people didn't want to hear.
Right. And I feel like at the time, again, this is just my perspective, but because he was such top dog in the webcomics world, I feel like there was, whether he actually felt this way or not, but there was an untouchable nature to him because he's like, I'm going to have fans no matter what.
Yeah.
Is how it came off. Whether that was actually what he was feeling, I don't know. But like that was one of those where, you can't touch me type mentality. And oh, how foolish I was to think that at that time. I'm like, wow, that's kind of really negative behavior on the internet. Why would anyone be that way? And I was like, oh no, it's going to get so much worse. Don't you worry.
Wait until you see how bad it really is.
Yep. But wait, there's more. Yeah. Fun, drawn with the eraser again. My favorite. Well, and what I was thinking earlier is much like many very difficult things in life, I think being willing to openly talk about, like you were saying, mourning the life of someone who is still with us, but isn't anymore. Like, I think so many of us, as the older generations get older, are experiencing that either with grandparents or with parents because of Alzheimer's, because of dementia and strokes and stuff like that. Like all of these things that are impacting the brain and taking away the people that we love, even though their physical body is still right with us. Because I know when my grandmother started to deteriorate, like there was a very specific point where she didn't know me anymore, and she didn't want me around because she didn't know who I was, and that was very hard for me to kind of internalize and understand and not take personally, because you have someone that you love who's screaming that they hate you and they don't want to be around you. Like, it'll get you.
Yeah, it was never even that extreme with my grandmother, but like I remember, I swear it was like, I think it almost would have been I don't know if it was the day or it was one of the first times at least that I had taken my wife, who was then my girlfriend, to meet her, and she was still living on her own, but like she was definitely starting to go and mentally. And I got there, and I know for a fact that she thought that I was my uncle who had passed.
Oh.
Like the way she was looking at me and talking to me, I knew that she thought that I was him, and like her son. And I was like, okay, she doesn't know who I am anymore. Like the only one she ever, like my mom said at the end, the only one she remembered was my dad. And like, it was my mom's mom. Like, so my dad, she remembered my dad, but like not her own children anymore.
Yeah.
She ended up obviously having to go live in a home before the end. But like, I just like, I think that was the last time I saw her was when I went, like, cause I mean, I lived down here at the time anyway, but we were up for a visit and I went in and I was just like, she has no idea who I am. I can't do this. Like, it was just, it's one of those things that I don't deal well with.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, I will mourn that in my own time now.
Yeah. Oh, yes, the looking for group. No, you're good. Because I was thinking, I was like, oh no, like I remember hearing a lot about PvP, but I guess I never followed up on material that did come out. But yeah, that was, because that was what? That was Lar D'Souza and I'm blanking on the other guy's name. Because that was going to be all animated and looked cool. That's okay. Soapbox Klotzy inspired Geoff and I to have a really heartfelt and deep,
Real
sad
in-depth-
conversation.
Yeah, we brought this podcast to a screaming halt
Yep.
with some sad talk.
Yeah.
Take that.
You are welcome, audience. Let's see. We've talked about death. We've talked about the church. I mean, I feel like we're really just... We're killing it today.
We are sorry.
Nicole's just like, I could have been sleeping. I didn't have to be here for this.
I'm not thinking that.
Just paint your picture. Don't talk to them. Paint. These people are a drag.
I really do like your little friend, though. Nicole, he's super cute.
Yeah.
Simpkin in chat would like to know if anybody has watched Sandman yet. Hey, Simpkin, I'll give you one guess as to what my answer is gonna be. To be fair, though, I am excited about it. I have not watched it yet, but I am excited to see it.
It is on my list. It's not going to be watched anytime soon.
Oh, say that again? I couldn't hear you.
I said it is on my list, but it will not be watched anytime soon.
Yeah. I still need Moon Knight and Ms. Marvel, and I'm hearing great things about She-Hulk. So.
I got through Moon Knight, and that was the last thing.
Oh, interesting, Soapbox Class. That surprises me. Two people who are usually my absolute go-to for perspective on all things, nerdy and stuff, both really liked it. So that's interesting. Well, Vineyard Warrior and I were talking about her as a character recently, and I said, it was never one that I really followed or was that invested in, but I was like, no, I'm excited. The show should be fun. She's enough, in my brain, enough of a blank slate that you could do some really fun stuff with her. But, nope. Okay. Simpkin says, I saw someone on Reddit take the comic strip for one of the stories in Sandman and then illustrate it themselves. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so I need help from the audience and from my fellow artists. I like how she looks, but this background color that I've got was just a filler. So I'm stuck. I think I need it to be a dark background, but if I do the full saturation of that, we lose some of the detail in her hair, unless that works. Does it work? Guess I could go in and highlight the hair. I don't know. Maybe that works. Does it look weird? Does it look okay? I guess.
I think it works.
Kind of don't hate it.
But that's just me.
Oh no, that's why I asked. Yeah. Haha! You know what? And in my post, I'm going to say I absolutely meant to do it, and that was the plan all along. Well, so I want you to know that this started as, one, I was like, oh, this could be a really cool, like, painted desert landscape, of which I immediately abandoned and said, nope, I'm going to draw a person, because it's who I am. And the next thing was like, oh, I'll draw this cool, like, Gaia, Earth Mother, like, she's out in space and has, like, nebulas around her and is just doing cool space stuff. And I was like, nope, now she's going to be evil. And that's where we landed. It's a journey. Are both of you ready for show and tell?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. I'm who's behind? Mine. All right. Go to Geoff first because I went to Nicole first last time. All right. Nope, wrong thing. There we go. Yay! Look at the little friend.
I did a lot of cheating with overlays and shadows and whatnot, but I just kept with the same colors. So
yeah. No, I like it. I loved when you added just that little bit of glow right around what they're holding.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. No. Can you zoom in a little bit so we can see some of the texture?
No.
Please. That little rim light on the ear. Oh, so good. Yeah,
a little lighting around.
Yeah. That's so fun. No, that's awesome. Very, very cool. And hey, if people want to follow more of you, see more of your stuff, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I am on Twitter at gmoney, GMUNNY. There it is, right down the screen. Yay. And then you can go to my portfolio site. It's jeffmunn.com. I'm Geoff Munn on Instagram. I am on Facebook under Jeffrey Munn. And also Pocket Science Studios has its own Facebook page, which never gets updated. Patreon.com/Pocket Science to follow secret comic stuff that nobody else gets to see. And also, real quick, I'm currently running a back to school commission sale.
Yes.
So if you want to get a commission from me at 2/3 of the price instead of full price for one digital character commission, please hit me up. This is the last week, and it is the only time I'm accepting commissions this year because I'm going to get very, 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 very busy very soon.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. And I believe if you follow Doodle Crew on Twitter, we have reposted that, but I will also make sure that I hit it up again. So if you're looking for contact info for Geoff, we have it there, or you can always reach out to us, and I will happily send you that. So, yeah. Give him monies.
Yes. Give me
He'll
the
make cool
monies.
arts. All right. Switching it up. Ooh, look at this little friend.
Yeah. I'm really happy with how it turned out, actually. I'm not usually good at drawing people, so...
No.
Yeah.
But it's good. I love it, too, because as we were all talking about, like, the very simplistic, very readable style, like, it's got just a great comic strip feel to it. So,
yeah.
No, also, I love the clouds and depth that you got in those in the background. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, you can't really see it very well. The camera's not great, but there's also like snow in the background.
You can see the snowflakes and everything. That's
Yeah, no, and I love, again, I going in with the white Posca over top, just getting that little bit. Oh, it's so good. No, I love how you worked the darks. I love all the different tones of the blue coming through. No, I love it. Yay! And hey, if people want to see more of your stuff, where can they follow you?
You can follow me pretty much everywhere at Mayor Squish or Mayor Squish Art. At some point, my Etsy's going to be back, but I'm no longer giving a date for that.
Yes. Nicole is loving the experience that so many of us go through where you're like, oh, my day job is killing me and I cannot think of anything else. Hooray! Yeah. So, but send her love anyways because we all need it. Work is a lot.
Yep.
Yay. Yay, I'm so happy you were here though. Yeah. All right. Even though I just zoomed in on mine, so you just saw mine, but here's my lady sorcery. Sorceress lady. Yeah, it was fun. I might still do more with this color palette, but I'm happy with it how it turned out.
That turquoise is so pretty.
Oh, I love it. Like that on top of the really dark maroon, like russet color. Again, not colors I would ever pick on my own. So it's good. Huge shout out to Coolors. Coolors.cool. For giving me a great palette. Hey, if you want to see more of my stuff, I'm at a swan named Emily all across the internet. If you want to see me in person and you're going to be at Dragon Con, I'll be at Dragon Con in a couple of weeks. You can even see me draw live. I will be on Sketching Shakespeare. If you are not attending Dragon Con, you can follow it on the Dragon Con Digital Media Twitch stream. So you'll get to see a live broadcast of our Sketching Shakespeare that we do live there. If you want to see more Doodle Crew stuff, we're at Doodle Crew Draw all over the place. Like many things, we are busy and we have not been great about posting, but I promise we're going to keep doing it. We have more episodes planned. I'm going to try and get on a better schedule. Things get a little less crazy for me in a few weeks, so I'm hoping to get that back. But coming up, we are coming into September, and then after September is October. And you know the Doodle Crew is going to be doing all sorts of spooky stuff. So if you want to see us, definitely follow this channel to see more Doodle Crew, or you can look at old episodes over on my YouTube. All of that. If you have any questions about any of the artists, we have our link tree. You know anybody who'd like to be on Doodle Crew, definitely reach out to them. And we have a wonderful Discord that they can join in the fun and the chaos there. Even if you just want to be a lurker, you are welcome to come and lurk. We've got great people, and it's really a lot of fun. I've definitely been like slowly reaching my tendrils out to draw new people in, be like, you should come draw with us. It's super fun. So yeah, but we love you all. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.